Okay, next up we're going to factor some quadratic trinomials. What we mean by quadratic trinomials, you'll have a second power. You'll have three terms, a second power, a first power, and a no power, where there's two x's, one x, and no x. That's what we mean by trinomial. There's three terms, highest power is 2. To factor it, again, factoring is the process of breaking things back apart, such as 6 breaks down into 2 times 3. That's called factoring. To factor a quadratic trinomial, here's all we do. Step number 1, if you have an x squared here, we're going to put an x and an x. Now you're simply going to look for two numbers. I need two numbers that multiply to give you a positive 6. Those same two numbers have to add to give you this middle number, positive 5. So the best place to start is to find all the numbers that multiply to give you 6, and that'd be 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. And it's kind of obvious that positive 2 and positive 3 are going to be the ones that add to give you 5, and we're done. You can always check this by multiplying it back out, and I'm going to do the first one. X times x gives you x squared. X times 3 gives you a positive 3x. We're then going to take the 2, multiply it by both. 2 times x gives you a 2x. 2 times 3 gives you a 6. When you combine your like terms that are alike, x squared plus 5x plus 6 is what we get, so it does check out. Okay, the next one, we always start it the exact same way, 2 sets of parentheses. Multiplies give you x squared is x times x. Now these two numbers need to multiply to give you 10 and add to give you a negative 7. Now that's kind of a little odd, because how in the world can something multiply to give you a positive, multiply to give you a positive but add to give you a negative? Both of these numbers will have to be negative, because a quick reminder, if you multiply two negative numbers, you get a positive number. If you add two negative numbers, debt and debt equals bigger debt, you're going to get a negative. So therefore, multiplies to give you a negative 7, as to give you a negative 7, multiplies to give you a 10. Make a list. That's going to be 1 and 10, 2 and 5. They're both going to have to be negative, so negative 2, negative 5 is our final answer. Okay, final problem, we have two more problems. Next problem, 2 sets of parentheses, x and x. This one needs to multiply to give you a negative 10. There is only one way possible that things can multiply to give you a negative, and that's when their signs are opposite. So we're going to multiply to give you a negative 10. Let's make a list. That's going to be a 1 and a 10 or a 2 and a 5. That's the only numbers that are possible. However, it needs to add to give you a 3. So what I like to do is I notice here the difference is 3. And that's what we're going to look at, because in order to get a positive 3, I'm going to do a positive 5 and a negative 2. Quick reminder of how you would actually add those. If you have $5, that's what positive means. You have money. If you have debt, you have $2 of debt. If you take your $5 and pay off your debt, you're going to be left with $3 to the good. That's the reason you get that positive 3. So a positive 5 and a negative 2 is going to be your answer. Now, if you write the signs backwards and you have x minus 2 and x plus 2 and an x minus 5, let me show you what actually happens there. Is when you actually add those two numbers together, a negative 5 and a positive 2, that would actually have given you negative 3. Because you have a debt of 5 and you have $2, you pay towards your debt, but you can't pay it all, so you still owe 3. If your number's right, but your sign is wrong, just flip those signs, the pluses with the minuses, and that'll make it right. Okay, last one. Now, first step, what you do have to do on these problems is check for GCFs first. Here, notice that 2, 8, and 6 are all divisible by 3. We're going to divide the whole thing by 2. They're all divisible by 2. We're going to divide the whole thing by 2. When I divide 2x squared by 2, I get x squared. Divide 8x, you get 4x. Divide 6, you get 3. Now that 2 is permanently out front. The stuff inside is a quadratic trinomial, which we're going to try to factor. X and x always goes first. Two numbers that multiply to give you 3, that's a short list. Those two numbers have to add to give you a 4, and you get a positive 1 and a positive 3. Those signs are very important. Make sure you put them, and that's going to be your final answer.